There's just so much.
You're listening to a Mamamia podcast.
Mamamia acknowledges the traditional owners of land and waters that this podcast is recorded on. Hello and welcome to Cancelled, a podcast where we put celebrities on trial for their crimes and assign them charges and sentences so we can all move on with our lives. Sometimes we do a two-parter on someone, and then there's actually some more things to say. This is one of those times. I'm Claire Stevens and I'm joined by Jessie Stevens. And to start off, Jessie, do you have a lazy girl story?
I do. I got sent a DM and I've been saving this to show you.
Hey Jessie and Claire, lazy girl here. Made this ice cream cake for my now husband a few years back and found out that it was really hard to use gel icing to write on the cake.
I wouldn't know, but interesting.
So I told him, you get the drift. I'm going to show you right now what the cake says. It was meant to say happy birthday, Scott. I'm going to show you when she stopped. I really like it.
Okay, so we've got happy, although it's very good. It's a lazy happy. Then we've got a B that looks like an and symbol, nothing, and then an F.
So at what point do you think she gave up?
I think
the B.
The Y. I think it was the Y of happy. And she went, oh.
Lazy girl. She's a lazy girl.
I can't be bothered doing it. Come on. There's so many letters.
So many letters.
So she went, I'll do a B. And I guess I'll do it now.
She should have, in hindsight, she should have done HB Scott. But she'd written happy and she'd really made a rod for her own back.
Oh, hard relate.
I love it. It's my favourite.
Hard relate. So today we are doing our third instalment on Meghan Markle.
Meghan Markle.
Meghan Markle.
Meghan Markle.
Meghan listened to our two-parter. And she went, I need a rebrand. Netflix, come on, it's time to cash in my deal.
Come on. Because what we said in the last one, I think let's just jump right into what we told her to do.
Oh, we accused her of being a lazy girl. Yeah. Essentially, lazy girl, a lot of deals, a lot of announcements, not a lot of follow-through.
And what was the sentence? Get a job, any job, which is one that we often dish out.
Yeah.
She got a job.
She got many jobs, and I think...
Do you want me to be a podcaster? Here's a 12-part series.
Yeah.
Oh, the Netflix series, you think that I was teasing?
Well, here it is. We've been working on it for a really long time.
It's award-winning.
Yeah, okay.
So how about that?
It's number one.
Yeah, Meghan. That's great content.
Turns out you've been working really hard and we just couldn't see it.
Exactly.
And in the world we are in, if you are not releasing TikToks every 30 seconds, we think you're being lazy.
I'm really impressed. And in fact, what we did say in our charges and sentences, we suggested she throw shit at a wall. And she is a woman who has thrown some shit at a wall.
Yeah.
And some of it's stuck.
A lot of it has stuck. A lot of it, Jessie, so much has happened. So when we originally did our two-parter, Megsy had spoken to Oprah, but she had not released Archetypes, and she had not released a six-part.
But she had released a
teaser.
trailer,
Yes.
which we were making fun of.
Which I believe she released the trailer in March. We recorded our episode in May, and we were yelling. We were like, come on.
Which again, this is what she did so well with the Netflix thing, because what we said is you've teased us too early. Everyone knows the secret of a trailer is...
Can't go too early.
Any momentum that we got, we've lost. It's been 2 months. And then Archetypes was still a few months. And we were like, trailer too early. You jumped the gun a little bit. What she did with the Netflix series is she went, the girls told me I went too early.
Yeah.
I'm actually just going to do a quick 2-week
out trailer.
Yeah. She's becoming a royal rock star.
And then
everything changed.
And then bam, 3 episodes. Bam, 3 episodes. Whoa, I've watched 6 hours of your television, Meghan. Yes.
Wonderful.
Excellent. Great timing around Christmas.
Yes.
In our original episodes, we talked about how the Queen thought Meghan was a shit royal because she didn't have fruitcake at her wedding and she refused to birth her placenta on the stairs of the Lindo wing.
Oh, I remember that.
We also looked at her family who won't shut it. Her fight with Kate Middleton, which seemed like tabloid gossip, but then there did turn out to be some tension between Kate, Meghan and toddler Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
We also covered how the Sussex Royal Instagram account announced Meghan and Harry would be stepping back from their royal duties, and apparently the Queen didn't know and couldn't find her Instagram password.
Now we know why.
And Charles was like, bloody thing.
Bloody thing.
Yeah, you gotta go and do that.
Yeah, he
Charles,
was cranky.
put the pen down. You're getting ink
naughty.
everywhere. Again, that was called Megxit, which is sexist, but also we have to acknowledge something. And that is that the concept of Brexit, but applying it to the royal family in this instance, it doesn't work with the name Harry. It had to be Megxit. Because what are you going to say? Hagzit? Harrigsit? Henryzit?
Okay.
Princekitit?
Did it have to be Brexit though?
I think British people love to just do a zit. Yeah.
Yeah. Why though?
This is the thing. People don't acknowledge with media that reporters, are they malicious? Often.
I don't think they're very
Often.
smart. Yeah.
But more often, they are just dumb and or lazy.
Uncreative.
And so Megxit, they went, oh no, Harry and Meghan left the royal family, Megxit.
Or
Finn.
No, what they love to do is like a gate on the end.
Oh.
So like a Harry gate.
Harry Gate,
They
Meghan
could have
Gate,
done,
yeah.
they didn't have the same ring
No,
to it.
it needed to be more specific about an exit.
Yeah,
It
right.
needed to be about an exit.
Megxit did ask for it, yeah.
So I think sometimes we do attribute malice where instead we could attribute complete stupidity.
Yeah.
Okay. We covered the bullying claims about Meghan, which were conveniently leaked a few days before their Oprah interview. We yelled about that interview and how we simply couldn't believe that Meghan didn't Google Harry. Then we got to the relaunch, the Spotify deal, the Netflix deal, and we were pissed that they were paid $30 million by Spotify and in 1 year had released a total of 1 minute of audio, which was the trailer.
We were annoyed because of how much audio we put out.
Yeah.
And we were trying to say, is it all good? No.
No.
But is it there? Yes. Which
Absolutely.
again is the content creation cycle.
I'm not saying it's good for humanity.
No.
Good for our footprint, etc.
No.
But it
Not
is
good
the
for
way
any
of the
us,
world.
But make more content.
Before we get started, I did just want to make an announcement. As we acknowledged in those earlier episodes, I did go to the Opera House and shake hands with Harry and Meghan in Australia in 2018. I yelled congratulations at a pregnant princess. I would like to unreservedly apologise for contributing to the fuss, nay, for being the fuss.
I don't think she minded the fuss.
Looking back, the fuss seems weird.
I think the fuss, what you did inadvertently that you didn't know you were a part of, was that in creating that amount of fuss, you made her a target.
Yes, and I would like to explain gently that the fuss was about my boganness coming to the surface.
Okay.
My boganness does come out in strange ways.
Yeah, you became a royalist for a week.
On my own.
Yeah.
On my own. So I've moved on to a point of regret. I also want to just bring your attention, Jessie, I don't think you saw this, to a message we got from a cancelled listener recently. And that cancelled listener had listened to the Love Actually episode of Cancelled. Great content. And she said, you know, it's interesting that you do point out that love is formed by food poisoning in Bali. That's a great point.
Thank you.
And you're talking about the fact that two of the characters didn't speak the same language. They didn't know each other. They needed food poisoning. And then she's like, but what I think we need to acknowledge is that Harry and Meghan, their third date was in Botswana. And she was like, when Meghan told the story, when she got there, Harry had a chicken sandwich for her. And she's like, they had
Food poisoning in
Botswana. And that is why this relationship has worked.
Escalated. You know what I kept thinking? Because I know it's romantic and looking up at the stars and there's a lion who was protecting her. But I
Yeah.
kept thinking, no, we stink.
We stink.
Because there would have been...
We're hairy.
We're hairy, we're stinky. I don't know if I should say this out loud, but I'm thinking about how we're not showering, but we're likely having sex, which is what I often think about music festivals.
Yeah.
I think about the fact that everyone's covered in mud, including their genitals, and then they go and put their genitals together.
And it's like, you want to look at the quality of the toilets?
I wouldn't be touching anyone's genitals.
No,
So
no,
maybe
no.
that's why it did fast track their relationship.
So I just think that that's important. Now, moving on.
Chicken sandwich in Botswana, ain't it? So hot.
It's too hot. My structure for today is as follows. Archetypes not being great. Those interviews. Finding British royalty to be a bit fucked.
Mm-hmm.
The children's titles. And bringing main character energy to Charles's coronation.
Yep.
Archetypes.
Hi, I'm Meghan, and this is Archetypes, my podcast about the labels and tropes that try to hold women back.
Jessie, I have listened to a few episodes of Archetypes. Mostly Serena Williams and Mariah Carey, which happened to be the first 2 episodes. It is simply an okay podcast. The idea is nice and good. exploring the labels that hold women back, like bimbo and diva and ambition. But it's very Feminism 101, which is absolutely fine.
We're the ones that told her to throw shit at a wall.
And she did. But it's been hugely popular. It won the Pop Podcast of 2022 at the People's Choice Awards, although I see lots of debate about this. But
yeah, no, I think it did go well.
It did do well.
People need to stop doing that thing where they say that no one listened, because people did listen. It went very well. It was at the top of Spotify for a very long time.
I think it was. So, Jessie, what's your vibe on archetypes and how it is just an okay show?
After ambitious and diva, I think she ran out of words. Because then they started getting very specific and kind of multi-barrel words. I tried to listen to it. I listened to the Paris Hilton one.
How was that? I haven't listened to that.
Okay.
It was fine.
Well, our problem that we discussed was that we don't think she meant archetypes.
I think she meant stereotypes,
which are actually two different words.
Yeah.
I looked it up. Stereotypes was taken by 3 men who only made 16 episodes.
Oh, that's so
and
annoying.
Every podcast name is taken by 3 men
Thank you.
who made 16 podcast episodes. So I think she should have just gone with that.
But instead she was like synonym, stereotypes.
It's just not quite it.
But you know why?
Why?
Because she was trying to be like Archie well, all of that. Archetypes, not quite right, as we often say on this show.
I think it was just okay, and that we have to defend a woman's right to be just okay
to
and make okay
podcast,
content.
That is fine. It had all the resources, talent, producers. She had a team of like 25 people working on that.
She's got a great speaking voice.
Oh, I love the song. The song at the beginning, I was like, oh, yeah. And then I started listening and I was like, honey, no. She's clearly listened to a lot of podcasts because she's got the
intonation,
the voice, right?
Cadence. Yep.
I did like when Mariah called
her a diva and she didn't like it.
And yes, the diva thing we can play into. I mean, it's not something that I connect to, but for you, it's been a huge part of your
us diva moments sometimes, Megan.
What kind
Don't
of diva
even
moments
act
do
like,
I give you?
Don't act like you.
see me right
It's
now?
also the visual. It's the visual. A lot of it's the
look.
visual.
Oh, yeah, Cancelled Worlds Collide.
Yeah, where Mariah's like, you're a diva. And Megan's like, oh my God.
And Mariah
she was
knew
calling
who
me a
she
diva.
was.
Yeah.
She looked it up before.
Oh, no, I really think probably Meghan had to introduce herself at the
I'm
beginning.
Meghan Markle. Okay.
Jessie, those interviews. In August, Meghan Markle sat down with The Cut for a profile. These were the biggest takeaways.
Takeaway number 1.
She talked a lot about wanting to talk, but didn't say a lot, being given the opportunity to talk. She told the interviewer that she had an exciting new announcement. She said, I'm getting back on Instagram.
She whispered it.
But then, quote, later Meghan would relay she was no longer sure she would actually return to Instagram.
In the 2-parter, we said she needs to get back on Instagram because what we feel we were promised was her breakfast, her skincare, and you said specifically the products she uses on her children, which was strange because you don't have children. But we just want to be sold to.
I know. So I think when she did this Cut interview, she was still very much in the phase of announce. And she did actually announce and renege within the interview.
Yeah.
Later, the interviewer observed that she sometimes converses like she has a tiny bachelor producer in her brain directing what she says. And then the interviewer said that she kept suggesting ways the interviewer could transcribe the noises Meghan was making. So basically, it seems incredibly contrived, the interview. She says her and Harry really wanted this $21 million home in Montecito, but they didn't have jobs.
Well, that's actually where I'm at. I have the job. I just don't have the means.
No, and I would like
a $21 million home too. That was actually really relatable.
Yeah, but then they decided they'd do everything they could to get this house, and they got it.
Yeah, that's not relatable,
Yeah.
the part where they got it.
Yeah, that's really not relatable. So we should all just do that, I think is the advice. She says, one of the first things my husband saw when we viewed the house was those 2 palm trees, and she points them out to the interviewer. See how they're connected at the bottom. He goes, my love, it's us. And now every day when Archie goes by us, he says, hi, Mama.
Hi, Mama.
Hi, Papa.
Hi, Papa.
Because they're interwoven.
Because they're palm trees that are interwoven. She was really into the palm trees.
I didn't like that part.
She takes the journalist to pick Archie up from school, and at a stop sign, she offers a homeless man a backpack she casually has in the boot of her car. So she keeps little packages and she's like, oh my gosh, it's so awkward that I've got the journalist here, but I just have to do some charity on my way home. It was a bizarre interview and it did make her seem somewhat insufferable. It wasn't received very well. People kind of tore it apart.
And inauthentic. And looking back, and I noticed this at the time as well, we force women to perform their charity and to perform their goodness because she's accused of not being any of those things. So, of course, she comes across like that. Of course, it's contrived. And if I was Meghan Markle and I was being interviewed for the Cut, it would be very calculated.
And the context behind this is that she's responding to all the things that have been written about her in the media. So I think she was trying very hard to create a new narrative about herself. Then in October, she does an interview with Variety about grieving the Queen, producing with her husband and returning to Hollywood. Again, there were some daggy bits. And Jessie, this is where the famous TikTok comes from.
Wordle?
Where she's like, we do some Wordle, some Duolingo.
I've played a little Wordle or done my 10 minutes of Duolingo.
This is the thing, and this is what I keep trying to explain to people. She's not a criminal, she's an American.
Yeah.
And Americans are really wholesome.
She's a daggy.
And she's earnest, but it's not fake. And I know Americans like this.
Yes.
I think she would genuinely invite you into her home and be very, very nice. And you'd be like, what's your ulterior motive? And she's like, I just like Wordle.
Do you want to play Wordle? I did French when I was at school. Now I do Duolingo. She's just really into Duolingo.
Yeah.
So they were those two interviews that I think set us up for a bit of a bad vibe against
there was
Meghan.
a bit of parody
But then came the 6-part Netflix special. And Jessie, there are some transgressions in here, such as dating a man with a horrible Instagram. We've always been told that when Meghan's friend went to set her up with Harry, she didn't Google him. And we got mad about that in our original 2-parter because we were like, that's absurd.
I Google people while I'm speaking to them. I just need context for who you are. I'll go onto your LinkedIn, but I'll make sure I'm not logged into my LinkedIn so you don't get a notification. Come on now. But now we've learnt she didn't Google him because she stalked him on Instagram like a normal person. Important piece of context.
It's like you needed to lead with that.
Yeah.
That needed to really come across.
Do we know what his handle was? Was it _Prince?
No, Jessie,
Sussex?
it was worse.
Okay.
It was at Spiky Mal 5. But Mal 5 like mouse.
Oh, like dead mouse.
Yeah.
The
Can you
DJ?
imagine
He likes his music.
Okay, no, it's actually sad because he can't be Prince_Harry. He can't be Has Dogs. He can't because people
big-
go, I think
the
that's
big
Prince
Has man?
Harry.
No.
No. Because the coolest people on Instagram just have their name, right?
I had to put my birth year in.
Yeah.
Because it's taken.
People who aren't cool enough, like me or you, have to add a bit of jazz.
Yeah.
Because we're not significant enough.
Clary McClary, Harry McClary or something.
Clough.
Yeah,
things like that. But to have Spiky Mouse as
What's
a
the
grown
Spiky
man,
from?
I don't know. I think something to do with DJing.
No, I think Spiky he had a Facebook alias as well. And so it was kind of like a pseudonym that he used.
Spike, you know what that hasn't evolved from? Okay, my partner, this is so specific. My partner, when we met, we were 17 and he was still using his teenage email address, which was I_flick_you. And
that sounds rude.
I flick you. No, it literally meant flick. He liked to flick his brothers. And Spiky Mouse is very I flick you. It's very I'm 14 and you know what? I'm spiky. I have spiky hair. I have a spiky vibe. And via the documentary, we got a glance into it. On his account, Meghan found beautiful photography and environmental shots, which intrigued her. But can we be real and admit that nothing on Instagram is worse than someone who shares photos of fucking wildlife and not themselves, especially when we're here for stalking purposes? Jessie, I'm going to need you to look at these photos and tell me. So you've been told, there's this guy, he's a prince. Please look at his
Have I been
Instagram.
told he's a prince?
Yeah. You
Right,
just don't
he's
know
a
a lot
prince.
about him.
Okay. I mean, look, there's one where he's kind of standing. He might be like helping an elephant, like washing it, but because the elephant is laying on its side, it looks like he's shot an elephant, which is not ideal.
Yeah.
There's another one of an elephant. So he appears to either love elephants or hate elephants. It's unclear. And then there is a shot of a sunset that is much nicer than anything Brooklyn Beckham has ever posted. But
actually, those pictures of the elephants are far better than Brookie's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what sense I get though? And I got this from my partner as well. It looks like you're trying to hide your face.
Yeah.
And your body.
Yeah.
It looks like I'm not going to find you attractive. What I need is a straight up and down, close up of the face, preferably from left, right, angle. Have you gone for a swim lately? Like, just give me a sense of things. Because here, I don't know, anyone can post a sunset.
Yeah, it's like I don't care about...
I guess he's Prince Harry, though, so she kind of knew what he looked like.
Well, she didn't Google him.
But he'd been on the telly.
He had been on the telly. Jessie, her next crime is finding British royalty to be fucked.
Is that a crime?
This is obviously something that really upsets the likes of Piers Morgan and Jeremy Clarkson because they're like, hey, inbreeding is normal. And inherited power has never created any issues in human history. Also, what's wrong with colonialism? It turned out just fine for us. Meghan,
Poor Piers and Jeremy.
they're so upset. They're like, stop criticising it.
Stop criticising our culture. It's not your culture. You stole Egypt.
You stole
You
it
stole
and put it in your
India,
museum.
And now it's in your museum and you're like, don't criticise our empire. Well, you're not nice to brown or black people.
No,
you never
you're
have
not.
been.
You're not.
And she's come in and gone, weird vibe.
Weird vibe.
That crown, tiara thing,
not yours.
you stole it and they want it back.
Mm.
Well, it's not yours.
So they're very cranky about her being critical. She has been quite open about the ways she has found the British royal family quite bizarre, and I think it makes them embarrassed as a
I'd be
culture.
really embarrassed. You don't want people to see your family too close, but this in particular isn't it.
In Harry and Meghan, she talks about what it was like to meet the royals, and she explains that the formality on the outside carried on to the inside. And Jessie, you just know that Charles was at family dinners making small talk about the gardens of Cornwall, and she was like,
Have you read my book?
Have you read my book? I do watercolours.
Do you want to sign watercolour?
Dad, put it away.
Put it away, not in front of Meghan. Because the gardens of Cornwall. I've circled my favourite garden.
It was boring. She then retells the story of how the first time she met the Queen, Harry said in passing, you know how to curtsy, right? She went on to do the most over-the-top curtsy, which she reenacts in the documentary, and you can tell Harry's face is a bit like, don't make fun of my nana, she just really liked curtsying.
And he's like, oh, my grandmother's here. She's going to be there after church. And I remember we're in the car and driving up, and he's, you know how to curtsy, right? And I just thought it was a joke. Now I'm starting to realize this is a big deal. I mean, Americans will understand this. We have medieval times, dinner and tournament. It was like that. Like I curtsied as though I was like... Pleasure to meet you, Your Majesty.
But curtsying is weird. And Harry acknowledges that it is weird to tell people that you bow to your grandmother and that they have to curtsy. But I did think about this and I thought, with our Nan, you know, every family's got its quirks. With our Nan, when you came into Nan's house, you didn't have to curtsy, but you did have to get her a scotch and soda every time.
Two fingers.
2 fingers worth of scotch.
Every family has their culture.
Yeah, and that was ours, and theirs is you got to bow to grandma.
And I agree with Meghan that I thought it was a bit of a lull in public.
Yes.
And they'd go out in their silly costumes and do their silly things with their guns.
Their dresses,
and
tiny
their dresses.
ghosts.
Yeah, and that's hilarious. And then we'd come home and have a good old
And
chuckle.
we'd laugh and say, it's so weird how we act like we're still in the 1800s, but no.
And it's so weird how we think we're better than everyone, but they also think we're better than them.
In the doco, Meghan also describes her and Harry's engagement interview as an orchestrated reality show. And I don't want to be rude, but that is our favourite kind of content.
I like that interview.
I really liked
They
that.
look so beautiful.
But the bit she appears to have found truly fucked was the royal tradition of doing a photo call with your baby approximately 20 seconds after you've delivered a human. Now, we knew people had an issue with this. We talked about it in the original episodes, but we didn't know exactly why. And then in the documentary, Meghan explains that she had a different doctor, and because she was older, she was nervous about the birth. There was the possibility of a C-section, and she had to deliver in a different hospital. She wasn't at the one with the Lindo wing. The royal family didn't like that because they owned her womb, and the other hospital was not convenient for the photographers. Because they couldn't block off the road, Jessie.
No, because they could. It's just that the ambulances couldn't get in or out.
Because it was near the emergency.
I like how they said that and then kind of put it to Meghan. Like, your call. Your call. But there won't be any emergency care for 48, 72 hours, depending on when you get out in your white dress with your placenta in between your legs.
2 days after birth, Meghan and Harry did their photo call at the palace. And you can see that Meghan's face is like, I'm bleeding from my vag. My body's doing weird things.
I have a scar, a gaping scar, that means that I
should not be upright.
I shouldn't actually be upright.
And not in heels.
Or I gave birth vaginally. My butthole got involved. There's stitches. There are things coming out of me, things still being exited, I suppose. I have heels on. But no pelvic floor.
No.
So if it's not my placenta, it's urine. I'm leaking urine.
And she was in a white dress.
Why?
With like a thing around the waist. And it's like, oh, come on now.
Let her be. Put her in a muumuu. At least Kate had a bit of a muumuu on.
But she also was clearly like, I have hardly met my baby. I don't know
they were like,
him.
what's he like? And she's like, I have no idea. I've not even spoken to him.
And Harry's face is like, guys, childbirth is surprisingly full on. Like, that was really intense. He is just not ready for a photo call.
And it's like, they're not going to give you their birth story. They're not going to tell you the gore. They don't know what Archie's personality is yet. I feel as though if it were me, because all the world is on you, I'd do something weird. I would 100% drop a baby.
Actually, that's what I thought the whole time watching the documentary, when they're doing like, even when she's greeting people or they're doing that photo call.
The wedding, I went, why haven't we tripped over our own feet?
I was like, oh my God, like, how do you train yourself to not stack it, vomit, shit yourself for no reason?
I got on stage recently and my dress was tucked into my underpants. Like that. There was 600 people. But like, why isn't that constantly happening? Why don't we have, leaking periods and stuff like on our wedding day? I don't understand how nothing ever goes wrong.
Yeah, that makes me confused.
Yeah.
But basically Meghan came into the royal family as a fish out of water with fresh eyes and was clearly like, no offense guys, but what the fuck? And everyone's like, stop it, just do what you're told for no reason and everything will be fine. But everything was not fine. Jessie, complaining about your free house being too small.
I hated that house.
In the documentary, they talked about the fact that when Harry and Meghan got married, they moved to Nottingham Cottage. And look, it was very small.
It's a shithole.
And Prince Harry kept hitting his head, and when Oprah visited, she commented, no one would ever believe it. They repeated that twice.
Kensington Palace sounds very regal. Of course it does. It says palace in the name. But Nottingham Cottage, it was so small.
The whole thing's on a slight lean, really low ceiling, so I don't know who was there before. They must have been very short.
He would just hit his head constantly in that place because he's so tall.
Speaking in the documentary, it's not that the couple was saying that their free house wasn't that nice, but they're a little bit saying that their free house just wasn't that nice.
Okay, I challenge the use of the word free. They had to work. They had to work a lot of hours in order to live in the same house and not have any dreams of getting a bigger house because you kind of don't really earn proper money, which is like communism, except the opposite.
Okay, it's not anything like communism. The thing is about Nottingham Cottage is that so many people have lived there. Kate and William lived there when they first got married.
It's too old.
Then you get a new house later. You move somewhere bigger.
Okay, I'm going to say something. I don't like old houses. They often stink.
It's a 17th century home.
Yes. I reckon there'd be mold issues. They're often haunted.
Actually, the haunting nobody's talked about enough.
It's definitely haunted, which is something that, like, I don't know. If you were pregnant, if you had a newborn, it would be really stressful because you're living in this haunted house. I feel as though there'd be issues with the hot water.
Yeah.
There certainly wouldn't be aircon. I think it would be heritage listed. I don't know if that's a thing in the UK.
Oh, probably.
But Yeah.
People say that about really old homes in Australia. It's like, yeah, they look gorgeous from the outside and then they are unlivable.
Yeah.
So
I want a modern home.
it was 2 bedrooms,
It's not enough.
which is that's like a bedroom and like a study for you to do.
That's what I live in.
Your Netflix special.
Yeah.
You know? So it is described as homely and snug, which are real
Means
estate
too
words
small.
for incredibly small, can hardly live there. There aren't any proper photos of it. I went really deep.
It seems like the kind of place that would have carbon monoxide poisoning.
Yeah, and you're not allowed to complain.
Yeah.
And I just, with this, it would be annoying if you had a free house and you're meant to be all like, oh my God, thank you, but it's really small and kind of old and does have mold problems. And your husband keeps hitting his head and whinging about it. And you're like, I don't know, maybe tell your grandma her cottage is shit.
It's a cubby house.
It's a
is what
cubby
it is.
house.
It's a cubby house in grandma's backyard.
Yeah.
Which would be fine, except Meghan is a 36, 37-year-old who's worked on Suits for a lot of years.
She got money. She
got
got
some
cash.
coin.
Jessie, the children's titles. Jessie, we do have a problem with the titles.
I've always had a problem with the titles.
You can't be quitting your job and keeping your title.
We've tried. Doesn't work. You're told no.
You're told, yeah, that's not how it works. Meghan and Harry still have their website, Sussex Royal, which is the official website of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, which is interesting in that that is not what they are. And the site says something about focusing on what unites us rather than divides us, which is all well and good, but it's like, do you think you're better than us, hence the title?
It just feels like an ironic quote to have at the opening. It's like an opening credit roll of their website. And it's like, well, if you wanted to unite us, you could be just Harry and Megs like everyone else, but you want to be Duke and Duchess. Interesting.
Now, we'd sort of forgotten about the title stuff. We were busy. And then came little Lilibet's beautiful christening. The baby girl was christened in LA and was christened as Princess Lilibet. You might remember that Meghan told Oprah in that iconic interview that little Archie wouldn't be bestowed a royal title or security, but it turns out he would just as soon as Queen Elizabeth died. So we've got Harry and Megs who have left the royal family. Chris Rock calls them the original racists.
Oh, geez. Inventors.
They've criticised the royal rota and the institution and the men in suits and the traditions, but then they give their kids titles. What do we think?
I hate it. I think that it's absolute hypocrisy. We've got a little Princess Elizabeth. And so what we've done is we've created another Spare. We've written a whole book called Spare. Very sad. Very, very sad book about Harry and his life in the shadow of the heir, which I guess would be Archie. To do that to your children, I'm not completely understanding.
Here's a question. Can you just give your child a title? When your baby girl is born, can she be princess?
No.
But then why are they allowed to do that?
Because it was allowed when the Queen died, it was like basically the next generation. And so now even according to the royal, all their paperwork, Archie and Lilibet are now officially a prince and a princess.
Well, nothing stops me
I
from
think the
naming
law-
my child
I think
first
the
name.
law-
No, you can't stop me naming my daughter princess.
You literally can't. You're literally not allowed.
I can call her princess.
Yeah, so you can do that privately, but you cannot on official documentation. You certainly cannot buy the domain name Princess Lilibet. Yeah. You know how mum gets really impatient with silliness?
Mm-hmm.
I can just see her looking at this and going, it's all a bunch of silliness because these people are trying to move away from the royal family to have less to do with them. They are very bad. They are very patriarchal. They are very racist, all of the things that we hate about royalty. But then at the first chance, you're calling her a little princess.
And you just know that William and Kate are cutting bloody ribbons at the most boring event
in order to earn their princess.
and they're saying, why do you get the fun bit without the holding the scissors bit?
Without any of the work.
So, yeah, I get it. I get that frustration. Jessie, the coronation. The coronation of Charles. Bloody thing. Is in less than a month.
Are you going to watch it? It's not even going to be on television.
Are you joking?
Okay, of course you're gonna watch
I've never
it.
missed a royal event.
All right, what channel is it on?
Everyone's going to be wearing hats. It'll be on every
No,
channel.
Claire, I don't think everyone is going to be there. I think no one's going. no one is going.
Oh, no.
No, everyone said no.
Oh, Charles
everyone-
has been waiting for like 7
I know,
years.
but everyone's busy and not coming.
Oh, that's actually so sad. And then he was like, I'll change the date. And everyone's like, still can't come.
to that neither.
Won't be coming to your party. Mate, at the time of recording, we don't know if Harry and Meghan are going. There's been weird talk where Harry's like, if I get an apology, and everyone's like, sweetheart, you're not getting an apology.
No.
That's not happening. That is stressful for the birthday boy. It's not his birthday.
Not technically a coronation
It's his
boy.
coronation.
Boy.
He's a
This is,
coronation
I don't know,
boy.
because you and I have just organised weddings, and I just feel like there are people on the guest list that are like, well, yeah, I'll come if I'm not next to blah. And it's like, I can't be handling your main character energy about this. Charles is organising his birthday party. He's not got time to be dishing out apologies. If he did, on the list of people he's got to apologise to, number 1, India.
Yeah.
Number 2, Africa. Number 3, the Pacific. Like, you, Harry and Meghan, not in his top 100 apologies.
And it's a lot of main character energy because you've got Harry, you've got Meghan, William's like, I'm going to be king. George is stomping around. You know
Everyone's
what I
making it about
say.
them.
You know what I've always thought about little Charlotte.
Yeah.
She'll be making it about her. But some people who have turned down performing at Charles's coronation include Harry Styles, Elton John, Ed Sheeran, Robbie Williams, Kylie Minogue. Not Kylie.
Kylie is apparently the only one who's done it for political reasons.
I love it. Adele.
Yep.
And the Spice Girls.
This is what I mean, Claire. No one's going to be there. We're going to turn it on. It's just going to be an empty street. I can't. It's too sad.
And look, we can cop an NA, a regretfully declined, can't be there. Sorry, I'm busy. I am going to be sitting on my couch watching it on the television. What we don't like is an invitation in limbo. I feel like there's a paperless post invite in Harry and Meghan's inbox,
yeah.
and they haven't responded. And it's been seen. Of
Has
course
it?
it's
Been
seen.
opened?
Yeah.
It's been opened.
And they're
And
deliberating.
there's a thing for dietaries.
Yeah.
Maybe they've even filled out the dietaries, but they've not said if they're coming. Like, do you think they have dietaries?
Absolutely.
Oh, they'd have so many dietaries. I reckon
Meghan
Meghan's
Markle's-
pescatarian.
I reckon she is, yes.
Pescatarian, she's gluten dairy free, and Harry, I'm going to assume, is a veggie. Is that what we're...
Surely.
Surely.
The due date of the RSVPs was April 3rd. That date has passed.
That date has passed. So either we've got our RSVP in and the answer is known, just not by us, or the RSVP date has passed and it is still pending.
And that says this is about me. And
Yeah,
it's not actually. It's about
rude.
Charles.
It's rude. And then they're going to have to be sent a reminder, maybe via Facebook message. Hey, has Megs, long time no speak, could you just
Are you coming
RSVP?
to Dad's? Question mark.
Are you coming to Dad's? Question mark. He keeps asking.
It's just so sad. Quick facts before we go to charges and sentences.
Yep.
It's important that you know that Meghan works a total of 1 hour a week at the Archwell Foundation, and so does Harry. But importantly, the other officers at the foundation, like the executive director, the treasurer, secretary, president.
Wait, this is the thing. So if Meghan and Harry are working 1 hour a week,
That's fine.
that's fine because they've just hired other people to run their business, which is actually a charity, which is fine. They've got other people doing 40, 50-hour weeks,
But
correct?
all those senior people also work
Work.
1 hour a week.
Okay. So there's about 6 hours of productivity coming out of Archewell a week. Looks
Which
looks that well.
explains-
Explains a lot.
A lot. The executive director, therefore, earned $1,224 an hour. That's my kind of salary.
Aren't you, for tax purposes, because this was leaked because of tax records.
Which, why do we have Meghan and Harry's when we don't have Donald Trump's? But anyway. Now, the tagline is an impact-driven global nonprofit that puts compassion into action, uplifting and uniting communities locally and globally,
Sounds
online
Oh, shit.
and offline.
That sounds, you know what it sounds? Busy. It sounds like there's so much to do. It sounds like there is a list, and we've all got this list at work, right? It's like record cancelled, do cancelled Instagram stories, record cancelled outro, etc., right? You know that theirs is like,
Fix poverty.
and then like stop meanness on Facebook. And it's like, you haven't gotten to any of those
Connect
things.
communities.
And then the next one is internationally and nationally.
Put compassion into action.
Put compassion into action. And the issue is that we've gone too broad, but also that we're just doing a 1 hour a week. If we're going to bring compassion into action, I just think we need to.
Isn't there that guy who did the 4-hour work week?
Yeah.
He needs to chat to them and say,
At least 4.
Come on, guys.
Especially if you're going to bring compassion into action.
Like, no offense, but you can't even unite your own family.
No, that's actually on their list. Don't. They have so much to do.
Surely that has...
It's going to take them so many years if they don't start to really amp up the workload.
It's time for charges and sentences.
This is never before heard of in the council courtroom, but my charge is nothing.
Okay, elaborate.
I charged her last time.
Yeah.
I gave her a sentence.
She was incredibly...
Receptive.
Yeah. Obedient.
Obedient. She went, I
Thanks
hear
for
you.
the feedback.
I hear you. I accept it. I am going to work on that, which is very American. I am going to throw some shit at a wall. Here's 12 episodes of Archetype. Some are better than others. All are just okay. Here is a trailer. Here's a second trailer, and here are 6 episodes. They are explosive.
Yeah.
They will change the course of world history.
History making, yeah.
I'll win awards. Certainly this Louise or whatever her name is, the person who, the director, she'll win awards.
Yeah.
They are hustling. They've had a big second half of the year.
They have. And Meghan, the thing, Meghan, that they really did with that 6-part series, of course, I mean, that in itself was great content. It created more content in the form of TikToks, tweets, recaps, etc. It just, I mean, she got the ball rolling after being quite stagnant.
Exactly. I mean, we wanted her to get a job, any job. I just feel like she did it. Accuse her of whatever you like. The woman's a hustler. She's working hard, and that's all we can ever ask for in the council courtroom.
Agreed. Okay. I have to take back my original charge, which involved being angry that Meghan kept announcing things and not doing them. She has had great follow through in the last few months.
Except for Pearl.
No, that was not her fault. It got pulled by Netflix.
Yeah.
You can't create something Netflix doesn't want you to create. So I've thought long and hard about a fair charge and sentence, and this is it. Jessie?
Yeah.
Some may say we are identical twins.
Yes.
Some may say we have identical minds, because I say nothing. The woman has been through enough. The things written about her, there was the Jeremy Clarkson comment about parading her naked and throwing excrement on her. Just disgusting. The malice applied to her, no. Her crime is that she is a little bit annoying, and that is fine.
I don't accept the annoying thing. I have heard a lot of people say it. She's allowed to be annoying. I think that when we say annoying...
We mean earnest?
I mean, we mean American. But I don't want to say that Americans are annoying because I don't think they are. I actually love Americans. But it's like you need to understand them within their own habitat and their own context.
But it's being American in a British context. It's like a puzzle piece that doesn't fit.
Exactly. And so seeing her in her home, everything starts to make sense.
But okay, so her charge really is being in love. It's being in love and having a family. And I did look it up in the cancelled court book.
Yeah.
I went through it. All
permissible.
365 pages of it.
Wow.
And Jessie?
Same as the amount of days in the year. It's almost like you pulled that out of your bottom hole.
Jessie, being in love, not a crime in the cancelled courtroom. Not a crime.
She is. I don't know what the word is.
Acquitted. She's acquitted.
She's acquitted.
You're free to go, Megsy. You enjoy Montecito.
Go to your juice shop.
Yeah.
Enjoy your freedom.
Yeah.
With Lilibert and Archie.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to Cancelled. I think that's a nice way to wrap up our Meghan 3-part. I love how she's the most cancelled person ever on our series. And the least. For all the evidence we've mentioned, head over to the twins_thoughts on Instagram. And if you have any suggestions for people you'd like us to see cancelled or any charges or sentences that you want to add, maybe we did miss one for Meghan, that is likely. You can call the pod phone on 02 8999 9386. If you love what we do here at Cancelled, please leave us a review. It helps people find us. The executive producer of Cancelled is Talissa Bazaz, with audio editing by Thom Lyon. And we will be back next week.
Bye.
Bye. If you believe in purpose-driven women's media, consider subscribing to Mamamia. Not only does subscribing to Mamamia help us keep creating, but it enables us to educate girls in some of the most vulnerable communities in the world. Subscribe to Mamamia.